What's up, guys? It's Dave Marshall with the RC Air Marshal YouTube channel. Today we're doing a review of the Eflite V900 that you see over my shoulder here. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and you turn on your notifications so you're always made aware when new videos come out on the channel. Now let's get started with the review on the Eflite V900. When I received this V900, it had been in a pretty nasty accident that broke off the front of the fuselage, put a pretty nasty dent in the right wing, right in the wing root, right on the leading edge where it had hit like a tree or something. It put a big nasty dent in there and messed it up pretty bad. Using some techniques that I found on other YouTube channels, I've used some boiling water to expand that foam back out where it had been compressed, and was able to reform and reshape the wing, and was able to use foam cure and some killer planes, carbon rod reinforcement techniques to reinstall the front of the fuselage back onto the rest of it. As far as parts go, the only thing I really needed to replace the original aluminum spinner that came on the V900 was bent up pretty bad from the accident. So I did replace the spinner. Unfortunately, at the time that I ordered it, they didn't have any of the aluminum spinners, so I went with a black plastic spinner. It works just fine. I also had to replace the cowling on the front, and the propeller was broken. And I also went ahead and got a new set of decals because the original decals got ripped up pretty bad and were just not in good shape. So the repairs that I made were mostly to the right wing. There was also a pretty nasty cut on the leading edge of the left wing. The back of the fuselage where the joint is for the horizontal stabilizer, this was broken back here, so that had to be reinforced and glued back in, as well as the front of the plane. And overall, the repair came out pretty good. You can't, if you're looking from where the camera sits, you can't really see too bad where the repair was done, but you can kind of see there on this side that it's not quite as pretty as this side. And excuse the beeps, I got some battery maintenance going on back there. But the good news is that that this thing still flies like a champ, even after going through all that damage. After the repair, we were able to get a flight on it. Unfortunately, the video's not that great, but I'll go ahead and add some video clips in here. And we're going to go ahead and show those clips, and then we'll come back and give you some thoughts on the airplane. We're going to be doing what is my maiden flight of this airplane. It's flown before. I have no idea how it's going to fly. We're going to be trimming it out during the first flight, which could get a little crazy. But, I have high hopes. And we are running a Spectrum 2200 50C Smart Pack. And we basically got it pushed up against the receiver, which is right here, and we've got the ESC kind of pushed forward. The ESC just kind of free floats in these planes, and that's fine. And it CGs pretty good right there. And on my on the top of the wing, so like on high wing planes, I put a little white thumbtack at the CG point, which kind of gives me a point of reference, so if I'm a little bit forward, a little bit behind, if I'm on the front of the thumbtack or the back of the thumbtack, that's fine. And so we're going to go ahead and get it plugged in, let it get initialized, and take this thing up for a little flight and see how it does. Hand launching, straight out.
I don't know if Amy was able to catch any of the plane flying because this thing is so small and so quick. It surprisingly flies awesome. The only thing I needed was a little bit of up elevator trim. But for the most part, the airplane handled beautifully. So I'm very impressed with it. Okay, so we were flying the Spectrum 2200 milliamp 4S 50C pack smart battery. We're gonna put it on the battery checker. It just came out. It's a little bit warm, but it's certainly not hot. Now, I was only running maybe 50 to 70% throttle. And we're at, yeah, 379s, 377, 379s. So we got one, well, actually that one's coming back up now. Yeah, so it looks like it's evening around, you know, around 378 at 4 minutes flight time. So right by the book as far as flight time goes. Got us right down to that 378 with the 2200 4S. On low rates, at 70% low rates, it was flying okay, but it felt a little sluggish. On 100% rates, on my high rates, it was a little too snappy for me. I also have a mid-rate setting at 85% rates on all control surfaces, and that was the sweet spot for me.
All right, so I apologize for the, for not catching the whole flight. The parts that were good, we went ahead and added them. But, for the most part, this thing is so small and it was getting out of focus. And it's pretty quick, as you guys could see from the video and from other, folks that have shot video of the V900. This thing is a beast, a beast. It is very quick, very fast, very nimble in the air. And what I may try, to alleviate some of that twitchiness at the 100% rates, I may try to tone up or tone down the expo a little bit. Right now the expo's at 20%. I may try upping that to 25, maybe 30%, and see if I can get away with flying it at high rates, just with a little more expo added in, to get rid of some of that sensitivity towards the center of the sticks, and lighten it up just a little bit. Other than that, the airplane actually flew really good. I kept it high because, this is a very twitchy plane, like I said, and I didn't want to make any mistakes that would, send it back to the airplane graveyard. So I had to fix it again. Now, so overall, the build of the V900 is super simple. It's got 3 screws in it that you take to put it together. When you buy it new in the box, it basically has 3 parts. It's got the horizontal stabilizer that slips in. The vertical stabilizer is built into the fuselage, and the horizontal stab is held in with a single screw, and the main wings just attached to a splitter that is inside the fuselage where the receiver is, and you just plug in your 2 aileron servos from the wings, and there's 2 screws that hold the wings up. Right there, you can kind of see that is a little nut that is in the plywood. So there's a piece of plywood that runs the entire length of the fuselage to add some rigidity. And those little nuts, they've got one here and another one, that's tucked in underneath the speed control on the front portion. And, if you screw the bolts down that go here and here that hold the wing assembly in place, the screws are long enough that they come up out of there. So, and that happens to be where the battery needs to sit. So you obviously don't want a big screw poking up out of that hole when that's where your battery sits. And as the foam compresses over time, that screw's going to stick further and further up. So what I did is I glued the wing onto the fuselage. It's such a small airframe. I mean, you really don't need to remove the wing, you know, unless you're trying to stick it in like a tennis racket bag or something. And what I did was I put the bolts in because I'm holding it in with both the bolts and glue. So I put the bolts in, tightened them up where they were a little snug. I marked them with a black Sharpie, backed them back out, and took a Dremel cut-off wheel and just cut the bolt down and screwed it back in. So now it sits flush with there, and I can put the battery there where the airplane will CG correctly, and I'm not having any problems with it. I'll tell you, this airplane is small enough and it carries enough weight because it does have a BL15 motor in it. So this is the same motor that they're putting in like their Warbirds, only much faster. It's I believe it's a 1200, yes, it's a 1260 kV motor, which is a lightning fast motor, especially when you put it on 4S power with 60 amp speed control. The power system worked great in the airplane, and this thing just absolutely screams. It's got an 8-inch prop with an 8-inch pitch. So, I mean, the thing is awesome. It howls through the air. You know, it's extremely fast. It's scary fast. In fact, you know, if you're not prepared for it, you may have some problems. I did have to shave a little bit off of the bottom of the canopy in order for the 2200 4S50C pack to work. You know, I just had to hog it out a little bit because there's, you know, some humps where the discharge leads are coming out of the battery, and it wouldn't quite fit on there, so I had to you know, just grab I used a Dremel tool with one of the sand drum attachments and was able to shave that down a little bit, and it fit flush over the 2200 4-cell, no problem after that. So surprisingly, after the salvage, the only thing I had to do was add a little bit of up elevator as far as trim goes. It actually tracked like a missile. It didn't have any strange tendencies as far as, you know, oscillating or anything like that. It handled perfectly. It cuts through, you know, we were probably around 6 to 10 mile an hour winds today, so not too terrible, but this thing didn't get bumped around by the wind at all, where, you know, I had planes. I was also flying my Eflite Commander, and I also brought my apprentice out today, you know, to get some nice, slow, relaxing flight after flying this speed demon. And the apprentice was actually getting thrown around quite a bit, and I was kind of surprised because usually that one, you know, also handles wind really well. And the Commander was getting thrown around by the wind a little bit too. But this thing just cuts right through it. I mean, it's so sleek and so aerodynamic that it didn't have any problem with the wind. The weight of the battery, the power system just cut right through the wind, no problem. So because I picked it up in somewhat of a used and broken state, I was not sure what the factory default settings were for the ESC. When I got it, the ESC was set with the brake turned on. I left it on for this flight, or you know, for all of the flights that I did today, and I've still got the stock prop on there. I know for one of the belly landings, it did, you know, come in with the prop, you know, up and down, and as the plane settled in, the prop just kind of moved out of the way. So not a big deal. I think if I had left the prop in freewheel and it was spinning around, you know, there's kind of no telling how it's going to land when it hits. But, you know, I haven't had any problems with belly landers breaking props in with the brake on or in freewheel mode. I just left it with the brake turned on for now, and it seemed to do fine. The prop is in excellent condition. So my impression of the plane is pretty favorable. I actually liked flying it very well. It certainly brings a new challenge that I haven't experienced before with like a really fast plane. Even though, you know, for the most part during the flights today, I was keeping the speeds, keeping the throttle around the 50 to 60% mark. And you know, I had a couple of times where I was doing some high-speed passes, and you know, just really just letting it eat. And I mean, it definitely has a ton of speed. If that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for speed, this thing ain't gonna let you down. The wings are pretty stiff. It does have a carbon spar running the entire length of the wing, as well as other carbon spar inserts going along the leading edge of the wing. So it is a very stiff wing. You're probably not going to fold the wings up on it, but the rear section of the plane gets awfully thin, back where the horizontal and vertical stabilizers kind of meet up. The fuselage gets real skinny right there. So I can see there being a you know, potential break point. In fact, when I got it, that was broken, and I used some carbon rods inside the fuselage to reinforce that area. So hopefully I won't have those issues with this one, but you know, that has yet to be seen. It's a badass little plane, guys. So check it out if you haven't already, and we'll have some links down in the description if you're interested in buying a V900. I have a link down there, and when you use it, it pays a little bit of commission out to the channel, so I certainly appreciate you guys' support. Also, there's a link for Horizon Hobby down there, and anything that you purchase from Horizon Hobby, we get a small commission on that if you use that link. So again, we appreciate your support, and thank you for doing that. That's all I got for the V900, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe, and turn on your notification icon so you're always made aware when we've got new videos coming out. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.